Hello, for today's video we're going to do a tips and counters video for every single hero. Keep in mind a lot of these tips and or counters can be changed as patches come out, and some of these may not work later on, but right now they all work. So let's get into it. Some basic countering for Abrams is the fact that his range sucks so bad. Like, even just from here, you can see this little dot next to the health bar. That indicates how much bullet drop off is going. So clear back here, like, he's doing no damage basically. So if you keep a distance on Abrams, he's not going to be able to touch you. And he has no gap closer besides his one charge, and it's a very long cooldown, 37 seconds to begin with. The moment he gets into a melee with you, you're going to have a hard time, because he's really tanky and he likes to punch. Another pretty obvious counter is
Welcome to New York.
simply buying Hillbane or Decay or Toxic Bullets depending on your hero. I like Decay a lot because it does percent base damage, and since he has a lot of health, it also does a lot of damage. If he goes for a heavy punch right after the charge, you can immediately parry. Just like that. Punch him, and he's dead. And of course he's going to start raging, right? That's typical Abrams. Okay, and a tip for him is you can actually bait the parry with an animation cancel using Siphon Life. You don't have to necessarily turn around because it could put you out of position. Like if you just go turn around, you're clear over here now, and you kind of want to be right up on him. But you can still go for the punch and then cancel with that, and there's no punch. So if they melee and you're already on them and you got Siphon Life going, you can immediately just start going for punches again, and they have no parry. Okay, now to counter Bebop, a really common build that people go when Bebop is the double bomb build, which requires him to have an Echo Shard. And the idea is that he'll hook someone in, drop a bomb on them, reset the cooldown, and drop a second bomb on them. A really obvious and easy counter for this kind of style is to just simply buy Debuff Remover. He pulls you in, puts the bomb on you, resets, puts the other bomb on you, and you hit Debuff Remover. It takes both of those bombs off before the bombs explode. Another good item to counter Bebop is called Reactive Barrier. It says automatically deploy temporary bullet and spirit shield when you are movement locked, stunned, chained, immobilized, or slept. So if someone has this in their bag and he hooks them, they immediately gain 600 health effectively, 400 bullet shield and 200 spirit shield. And also, while his ult is going, he can be stunned to cancel this. You know, an Ivy can stone form on top of him, McGinnis can stick a wall on top of him. Stuns will cancel the ult. And if you're a character like, I don't know, Kelvin, who can't do anything about it, another item you can do is Knockdown, which you can stick it on him, and I'll just show it.
You got expensive.
He'll stick it on him and put an anvil above and bonk their head, and that will stop his ult. And for the tips when you're playing Bebop, there's a couple I'm going to show. So first is his attack. When you hold click, it has this little circle fill up around the aimer, and then it shoots the beam. So it could be hard to secure the last hit. However, if you're aimed in, that circle already goes, and you can just instantly do it with no delay. And there's no bullet travel on this character, so it makes it really easy to secure last hits and secure denies. That's the first pretty basic tip. The next one is when you hook someone, pulls them to you, they land right in front of you. So if you turn your character, hook, turn, it's going to drop him right here instead of right here. And another thing that's pretty useful is when you start your ult, that little bar has to fill up before it actually uses the ult. And people are going to hear that and react. Without you actually using the cooldown, they're going to react assuming you are using it. Plus you can use it to float. So you could jump and cancel like this, and you could pretty much stay in the air as long as you like. Okay, for counters, if you're landing against a Dynamo and he goes for his heal, it's channeled. So he's sitting here waving his hand around for the next 5 seconds healing himself. When you see him go for a heal, say he's behind this pillar, you see him go for a heal, pressure him, get him to either cancel his heal or punish him for not canceling it. You can get free damage and there's no threat of him doing anything back towards you because he literally can't. Another easy counter for him is to buy Reactive Barrier. It gives you tons of shield for bullet and spirit. It'll proc if he lands his first ability or he lands his ult on you. Either one of those will proc it, and unless he has a team shooting you during his ult, you're going to have more health at the end of his ult than you did at the start. And when he blinks with his second ability, he gets a ton of fire rate bonus and also a ton of ammo in his gun. So if he blinks forward, now I have 40 bullets and I shoot much faster. So if you're taking trades right after he blinks on you, you're probably going to be taking more damage than you should. So if you wait a second, look how slow he hits now. So it's just something to keep in mind, understanding how his abilities work and playing around it. If a player is stuck in the Dynamo ult, you can rescue them with Rescue Beam. So what this item does is you use it on a friendly and it allows you to pull him to you. So let's say there's a Dynamo ult right there and he's in the middle of it. You could just grab him and pull him right out of it and he'll be unstunned and everything. Some of the biggest things I've seen Dynamo players do is they're not using heal during the ult. You can press both of the buttons effectively at the exact same time. There's no animation for it to go, and you'll do both. This does require for you to have this fully upgraded because it makes it no longer channeled, but instead it just gives you a buff. So if I press the two buttons at the exact same time, I'm healing and my ult is going. Another thing I wanted to point out is you can prevent yourself from getting interrupted by buying an unstoppable. And just like you would pop this right before, you also pop this. So if you press all of them at the exact same time, like that, you're immune to stuns, you're being healed, and everything around you is also being stunned. Last thing I'll say about the ult is I see people trying to set up the ult with their E. They'll see a big fight going on and they'll try to like jump in there, but look how slow that goes. And when you see a Dynamo jumping in on you,
has its advantages.
You have all that time to react.
If I reassemble,
they could easily dash any direction, they can blink away, they can whatever. Instead of trying to use the E, use items. There's a couple items that work. There's Warp Stone, it's a little bit cheaper. You see people, you can just jump out, blink right into them and press it, right? Another easy one is Phantom Strike. You can wait till you see the exact target you want. Say you're trying to catch the Infernus there. You can Phantom Strike straight onto the Infernus and instantly catch him. And there's no way he's ever going to dodge that. And you don't have to be super far ahead. You can actually be doing pretty bad. You land a good ult, that's going to win the fight. Okay, with Great Talon, the very first thing I wanted to point out with this hero is the ultimate has a part down here that says 5 spirit power per kill, which means every time you kill someone with the ult, it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And it stacks indefinitely. So if you get a kill,
is over.
There you go. You got +5 spirit, and you can see that down here. So with that being said, don't be afraid to kill still other laners. Like if you're over here laning and you know there's a fight going on over there, just send your owl over there and try to steal it. It's also important to realize about this guy with spirit is this character, his movement speed increases off of spirit. So if I buy, so right now I got 6 movement speed. Let's say I buy this. Now I have 9.2 movement speed. So not only are you getting more damage, you're also getting more movement speed. Another cool item for this character is Lucky Shot. Your bullets have a chance to empower, causing to deal bonus damage and slow on hit. And with the second ability, Rain of Arrows, you're shooting a huge volley of bullets. So I'll just show how that works. You jump in the air and you have a shotgun, basically. Every single one of those arrows that go has a chance to proc the Lucky Shot. So it's really consistent, huge damage. The burst is pretty crazy. The last thing I'll say as far as a tip is your character is really squishy. If you get caught out, you probably are going to die. Most characters will win you in a straight up battle. However, you shine in a big battlefield where if there's a big fight going on and you're sitting clear back here, you can get huge nukes off with these arrows. And you're so far back that there's a lot of people that have shotguns and other weapons that they can't even really do anything to you while you're still basically doing full damage on them. Okay, to counter Great Talon, the most obvious and simple way is to simply buy Spirit Armor, because it's just going to reduce the damage you take a ton. Most of his damage is going to be Spirit, and having this is going to go a long way in as far as saving you. Another item is Enchanter's Barrier. Gives you a huge Spirit Shield. So if he hits you with an arrow, 360 damage, and you have this, you're barely going to take any actual health damage. Another thing you can do is buy the item called Knockdown. And just like I've shown on other heroes, this will put an anvil above their head and bonk them to the ground. So if he's up in the air, flying around in a battlefield, and someone sticks an anvil on him and bonks him, he's going to fall super quick to the ground, and you can just jump on him and kill him. Alright, the last item that is a really easy counter for him is Ethereal Shift. And the reason why is because there'll be plenty of times where the fight will settle and everyone will kind of go their separate ways, and you think you escaped. Next thing you know, you hear this owl flying around, you hear this caw, and he comes in and kills you. But what you could do is you can time your Ethereal Shift right when he's about to hit you. You press it, and when you're black like this, you're immune to all damage. So if he crashes into you, even if you're 1 health, it's not going to do anything to you. Okay, the next hero on our list is Haze. For tips, I have a couple of ones that are pretty basic, some of them that I think are a little less known. But if you sleep someone, wake them up with a melee punch rather than just shooting them, right? Especially if you have a team and you communicate it, you can say, hey, I'm going to go for a sleep on this guy. When I do, let's both punch him, right? You get to sleep and you both punch right off the bat, that's going to pretty much chunk him down and kill him basically instantly. And even in solo lanes, just getting a sleep off on someone's going to give you a huge health advantage. Another tip that I wanted to point out, which I believe is less known because I never see Hazes utilize this fact, but you can sleep Guardians. So if you sleep the Guardian, he's not doing anything anymore, and minions will not wake up the Guardian, so you can use that fact to do early dives and be really aggressive. You can gank lanes, you say, hey, I'm coming over, let's dive under their tower. You show up, you sleep the Guardian, and then you and the 2 laners over there can just run in and kill them. And the last thing is I wanted to just point out the synergy with Ricochet and Silencer. So what these do is your bullets will ricochet on enemies near your target, applying any bullet procs, dealing a percentage of original damage. So the reason why this is insane for her is because it applies fixation on every target. If I shoot the middle one, this stack of fixation is going on all of them as it ricochets. See that? Another thing is the ult. The ult bullets will also ricochet. So every single guy is being shot multiple times from me already, but then they're all shooting each other with the ricochet. Alright, and Silencer. For the next 4 seconds, all of your bullets immediately silence. And the way that works is you shoot, even the ricochet shots are being silenced. See that? Because ricochet says that it applies all bullet procs. And that does work with your ult also. So if you jump in, you hit silence, you hit your ult, the entire group around you is silenced and they're getting nuked. So you can completely kill an entire team with your ult on this character. Ways to counter Haze is the fact that she is so squishy. If you just focus her down in fights, you use CCs on her, you get knocked down, whatever, a Mo and Krill ult, she will die. She's not going to live through a Mo and Krill ult. Another thing is if somebody gets Phantom Strike, teleport to an enemy applying disarm and slow and dealing damage. If you Phantom Strike a Haze, she's disarmed, there's pretty much nothing she could really do to you. You can just kill her for free, and a lot of times you can have her dead before the disarm even ends. Another item, there's two other items that are really good, is Metal Skin
Come back if you need
and
anything else.
Return Fire. So what it does is automatically fire a bullet to any attacker who damages you with their weapon or ability. So if she's popping her ult or if she's just shooting at you and you pop Return Fire, she's going to do a lot of damage to herself and probably end up killing herself, especially if there's a couple people that pop this and her ult's going. Problem is this can be negated late game if she gets enough bullet lifesteal from different things, you know, leech and whatever else. She's just going to heal all the damage she's doing to herself, so it doesn't really matter. However, Metal Skin will still make you immune to all the damage she does for 3.5 seconds. She's shooting you like this. You pop Metal Skin, you're not going to take anything. She's not going to do nothing to you. Another item that can be used against her, which is pretty cheap and you can get it early on, is a lot of times she goes for ganks. She's going to want to try to open up with a sleep or just throw the sleep out there in the middle of the fight, especially because a lot of Hazes like to put Quicksilver Reload on their dagger. So if she throws the dagger at you and you have this item, you're going to automatically get a massive bullet shield and a massive spirit shield, which could be the difference of you winning or losing the fight. And it's a pretty cheap item. Another thing I'll point out is the paradox wall. Let's say this is a paradox wall right here. If she's ulting, the bullets are going to hit the wall and stop for a moment and then go through. So the paradox on this side of the wall can just see all the bullets coming in and just move to the side and everything's going to miss. The ult won't do any damage, which makes it super easy for the paradox or anyone on the Paradox's team to just punish the Haze and kill her that way. So we're going to do some Infernus tips. The first tip I have is a way to do insane amounts of burst damage is to heavy melee right off the ultimate stun. And what that looks like is this. So you time it to where it's like the stun goes and immediately they get punched. And another thing you can do is if you are going to try to bait the parry with a melee and cancel animation with your ult. What that looks like is this. So you do the heavy punch, but instead of letting it finish, you proc your ult. So you do this.
Turn them to ash.
And what that does is a lot of times they'll see the heavy melee coming, right? So they try to parry it. But you could just go bait the parry, and then they parry, and then you can just start punching them. Another thing to keep in mind is, especially when you're laning, the burn debuff, the afterburn, as soon as it's applied, it's ticking damage. To refresh it, you just need to land one single shot. So, let's say you're in lane, you're trying to get last hits, and then their guy pokes out for a second, just throw one shot on him. You go back to getting last hits, and throw one shot on him, and he's dead, obviously, but just getting that one shot when the burn's already applied is going to put so much pressure and do tons and tons of damage over time. Alright, and the last tip for Infernus is don't be afraid to cancel your dash.
Once this goes off, all they can do
I see people do this, and while they're running in circles, they're getting shot the whole time. It's okay to just cancel early and start fighting back. Or, as soon as, like, if I'm trying to block off this area or block off whatever, I can just block it off real fast and then cancel and start fighting. Like, they're not going to want to walk in here anyway. And if they do, it's fine. They'll take a ton of damage and heal you a ton. Alright, as far as counters for Infernus, the easiest and most obvious is anti-heal. Because, you know, look at common builds. A lot of people are getting Leech, Heal Booster, Spirit Lifesteal. So if you counter him by getting Healbane, Decay, Toxic Bullets, things like that, it's going to cut into his healing a lot. It's going to make a big difference. To counter the ultimate, what you can do is line aside it.
It's my time.
I'm back here and it goes off. It's not hitting this guy, even though he's in the circle. It will still hit, even though like right here is like line of sight directly from me.
Let's ash him.
For some reason, if the camera can see him, it still gets him. See how the camera can see him right around the corner and it still hits him, even though he's not really line of sighting me. That is why people will sit there and go, hey, I'm line of sighting him. Why why did it still hit me? It's because they got to be more line of sight. It's pretty much like his camera can't see you. Like if he's over here, it's not gonna hit him. This would kill him if it hits him. And in the circle did not get hit. Another obvious counter is simply getting Ethereal Shift or Unstoppable.
So long as
And what
you
these
don't
do,
burn down my
Ethereal
shop,
Shift just
you're
makes you
all
immune to everything. Just, it stuns you, but you dodge the ult basically.
good. Go on, try to get
Unstoppable,
me you want.
you will still take the explosion damage, which is not nothing, it's pretty good, and he'll still heal from you, but you won't be stunned. And you know, if you're a Dynamo or something and you pop your ult, Infernuses like to just jump in your ult with their ult going to cancel it. So if you have Unstoppable going, then he's just jumping your ult for free. Alright, and the last thing to remember when you're going against an Infernus is he likes slow, long, drawn-out fights because he has this burn that'll sit there and tick on everyone, and a lot of times they'll have Ricochet.
Burn. Get your
So
Jezebels later.
Ricochet will just put this burn on everybody. Everyone's just taking dot damage the whole time, and he just has to get a shot off every now and then to like reapply it to every
Come
person.
at me and see what happens.
He doesn't like quick fights. He likes long, slow fights where people are kind of running around, people are kind of scattered. He can, you know, run through the battlefield and have his way with you. Okay, so the first thing with Ivy I want to talk about is how insane her ult is. It combos so well with everything. And also, since you can pick your team up and just fly around the map with them, your team can grab the urn and you can just fly across literally the entire map and get a free urn. Urns really will be the difference maker. You know, grab a couple urns and it's a few $1,000s for every person on your team, and your team's gonna get ahead really fast. Another thing I want to point out is when you have your team on ult, they can cast still. Even though I'm flying around, I don't have to drop them for them to start pushing buttons. They can start casting while they're in the air. So if you have a teammate 7, especially if you're on voice comms or in a duo, you can coordinate and say, hey, I'm gonna grab you and pick you up. You pick him up, fly him around the corner, and all these enemies are here. He can pop his ult right then, and he's a mobile lightning ball. It works with other guys like Dynamo, whatever. And with Dynamo, the ult's, it's like a little vacuum. You pick him up, you fly him into him, and he just vacuums all up, and then you can just throw him into him. You don't have to wait to be thrown to cast, and you don't have to cast early. You can just cast while you're in the air. Another thing I'll point out is even if you ult by yourself,
I got you.
you get this bomb, and if you throw the bomb, you're still flying. You can still be throwing your other abilities down.
I'll do my part.
You can't really shoot, but you can still
I'll get 'em.
get these. And these kudzu bombs are actually going to go crazy in fights. You can still latch to people, and also
Hope you don't mind the pickup.
you can start your stone form like above in the air,
I'm not
and it will
finished
go
yet.
clear down. Alright, so for counters, a really easy, simple one that shuts her down pretty good is actually knockdown. Target is knocked down and stunned after 2-second delay. So
You have a good eye.
the enemy can just stick an anvil above your head in the middle of your ult,
Let's go for a ride.
and it'll show up, it'll bonk you down, it'll stun you clear to the ground, and cancel your ult. Huge way to shut her down, especially if she's comboing with her team. If she has her team with her, and you're looking at her to put the anvil on her, make sure you don't put it on her team, make sure you put it on her, because the box may be on the team when she's holding her team. Another thing I'll point out is the stone
They
form.
think they're in control?
This stun, it's a pretty small circle. Pretty much every character in the game can dodge it with one single stamina. As soon as you see it go up, it kind of stops for a second and then goes down. So as soon as it's at the going down section of the animation,
Necesitas
you just
mucho
instantly
más que eso para
tumble to the
matarme.
side, and you can just instantly punish off of that. The stone form does heal max % health, so anti-heal is good for her, and also because it heals, a lot of Ivies kind of try to hold on for it
They're
for a sec,
not
and then
bringing me
use it
down.
to get a heal and a stun, not just a stun. But what you could do to punish that is you can get Silence Glyph, Curse, you're fighting them for a second, you don't have to open up with it. As soon as you get them down a little bit, you throw your Curse on them, or your Silence Glyph,
If you like that,
and
I got some other stuff.
they can't go for the stone form. With Kelvin, there's a couple things I wanted to mention. His ult will actually disable objectives, and I'll show an example of that. Pull this out, and it's frozen. this will sit there and be paused the entire thing. This works offensively and defensively. You can use it to dive and not worry about the damage from the tower. In addition to using the ult to disable the enemy objectives when you go in for dives and freeze them so you can not worry about the damage, you can actually use it to deny the area. Let's say there's a bunch of people pushing up and they're trying to kill a guardian. I could just drop a snow globe and nothing can get in here, so this is protected. Another thing I'll point out is rejuvenators. You can drop this and people can't punch it, which will also deny the whole area. People can't get in. So if there's a bunch of guys jumping in down there, you hurp and do that, it freezes it in the middle of the air, and you can just hurp and kill whoever's right here. Like if you got a bunch of team in there and there's one guy, just hurp and kill him. You can use it to cut fights in half. Let's say it's like you and your buddy over here and 3 of them. You hurp and drop this. Well, these 2 guys are stuck out, and now you're 2v1ing this guy for the next few seconds. Maybe you can kill him. It doesn't have to be used to only heal. You don't have to wait till you take damage, but it does do a ton of healing. But you can just instantly drop it. You see them all coming, instantly drop it, cut them all off, and get out. A couple of items that are really good with this guy is to build him kind of like a healer and a support-ish, which I like to get heal booster, which affects his grenades, have healing also, by the way, when they get upgraded. So it affects the grenades, and if you get rescue beam,
A little protection goes a long way.
where is it? Health Nova. You're gonna have these 2 heals plus your grenades plus your ult. That's a lot of healing. And also something that will help out with that is rapid recharge. This will give you 2 extra charges of your grenade and reduce the cooldown of your grenade significantly. So you can just sit here and throw grenades throughout the fight, and it's a big circle to just do a huge nuke of heal and a huge nuke of damage. To counter Kelvin, the first thing I'm going to say is you are not going to outrun Kelvin. He can skate super fast. There's no way you're going to keep up. And he has an ice beam to slow you. He has grenades to slow you. He has a snow globe to just instantly stop you. Basically, you're not going to escape a Kelvin. Your only hope is really to try to line of sight or just straight up fight him. But if you're running and he's got this beam on you, your slow is going to be so much, you will not escape. Good ways to counter him is to get anti-heal, because like I said, he likes to build a lot of healing. So things like Healbane, Toxic Bullets, or DK, those are all good options. A lot of his damage is actually going to come from his spirit and his abilities. So another item is Spirit Armor. This will just reduce his general output on you a lot. Debuff Remover is not amazing, it's okay. You maybe just get Debuff Reducer. It'll reduce the slowing. And another thing that will also reduce the slowing is Enduring Speed. So this will reduce the duration of the slow, this will reduce the effectiveness of the slow. First thing I want to say about Lady Geist is don't be afraid to frontline and take a little bit of damage for your team. You have so much healing available to you. Your grenade does hurt you, but it's very minimal. It does 30 damage to yourself and 100 damage to them. And it's really easy to land because it's such a big area. Is you can actually line of sight the grenade. So if the grenade is over here, even though he's in the circle, he's not actually going to get hit. And same thing right there. And it matters with line of sight of the grenade center, not the Geist. As you can see, I'm clearly in line of sight right there. Throw the grenade over there, it doesn't hit him. Another benefit of kind of frontlining and being in their face during a team fight is when you're getting low, your ult has a very short range. It's only a 7-meter range. And when you compare that to most things in the game, it's really not a lot. If I'm trying to ult this guy, I can't even do it until I get right here. So pretty close. If he's just keeping distance, I can sit here and try to ult and I'm gonna die. The best way to counter Geist, because her whole kit is based around self-healing, is simple. You just get anti-heal. Either Decay, Healbane, and Toxic Bullets. All of them are super good. They all work. Her ult only works later in the fight if you have more health than her. If she has more health than you, she's not going to swap health and heal you. but she's going to try to get low health and swap to hurt you. But what you could do is you can anticipate that, and as she's getting lower and lower, she's down here, you can just throw a curse on her or throw a silence glyph. Now she can't ult, and she's going to die before those are over. And if you don't have any of those items, again, it's such a short range, you could just keep your distance and poke her down and kill her. And one last thing to remember with Geist is her ult only matters if you have more health than her. As you can see, me and this dummy have both barely alive. If she swaps health, it's not going to do anything because we have the same amount of health. So if you're both equal health and you're getting low and you're kind of trading, you don't even have to worry about the ult. It doesn't even matter, basically. She doesn't even have an ult in that case. But if someone else is running in your team and they're full health, and she gets the swap off on the team, well, now you're both low and you're probably both going to die.
Your flames will...
Lash, there's a couple things I wanted to point out. Is his ground strike, it does more damage if he falls further. So if I just walk up and ground strike this guy right here,
You won't stop me.
it did 107 damage. Okay, 369 on that
Last
one.
call,
So that's like landing 4 of them just because I fell from, you know, decently high. The other thing I want to point out is the grapple ability. It can be cast on friendly,
I'm about to ruin your
even
day.
buildings. It can be cast on minions, heroes, or buildings. Friendly or enemy does not matter. Another thing about this ability specifically is when you jump and you double jump or whatever, you can only do so much before you have to touch the ground. However, using grapple resets all of your special movements like dashing, air dashing, or double jumping. So if I am in the air, I jump, double jump,
Start running.
do that, I can do it again. I can grapple
I'm
again.
about to ruin your
I can
day.
just keep on going, and I'm basically flying
Here
here,
I come.
right? Another really good item to consider is Majestic Leap,
A little protection goes
because
a long way.
if you want to just get up and slam the ground and you don't have a grapple target, or you don't want to use your grapple, this is kind of the similar thing where you just kind of jump up and you can just jump and slam. It's a free slam. And another thing I want to point out is with this guy's ult, you can grab them and slide them on a wall, and that entire time he's gliding down, he doesn't have control of his character until he hits the ground and gets stunned. So it's basically a super long CC if you hit a wall instead of throwing him directly at the ground. Ways to counter this guy is pretty simple, pretty easy. Is he can't really do a ground slam if you're above him, right? If you're keeping high ground, he can't ground slam, and even if you aren't staying above him, he isn't going to fall very far and slam the roof compared to falling and slamming
about to
to the
show you
ground.
why I'm
So
best.
high ground is a good counter against him, plus it just helps you see him. You know he's going to try to jump in there, blow someone up, and get out, so CCs, things like that are always good. His ult doesn't work if he's out of line of sight. So if, let's say he does it right here and you herp and run around the corner, he's going to pop his ult
Taking
and
you out.
nothing he could do. So one thing that a lot of people don't realize with McGinnis is how her turrets have taken AoE buffs. Also, if you have an item like Heroic Aura, that's going to buff them and make them shoot even faster. The heal gives increased fire rate and it heals. So this will heal your turrets and it'll make them shoot faster. See how much faster they're shooting? It's just going to increase the DPS overall a ton. Her wall, when it's fully upgraded, has a stun. It's really effective because it's such an easy ability to land. Let's say there's a Dynamo ult or whatever, any kind of channeled ability, you can interrupt it just by dropping a wall in her on the guy casting it. So it might be worth considering upgrading this early if you notice that your team doesn't really have a way to stop the Dynamo ult, and you can kind of just sit back, Dynamo jumps in, you cancel the ult, and it cuts their team off. And you can easily cut a battlefield in half and isolate one guy and everyone just shoots him down. Okay, a couple of counters for McGinnis is monster rounds. This increases the damage you do to NPCs, and the turrets count as an NPC. So if they have monster rounds and they're shooting the turret, it's going to die super quick, and it's a pretty cheap item. Another thing to consider is the wall has a minimum cast range. So if you look at it, it says minimum 6 meters. So when she starts the wall, when I'm spamming this, I can't put it closer than that. so she can't put it right on her. So if you're fighting McGinnis and you're right up in her face, she's not gonna wall you because she can't. Okay, one of the best counters for Mirage is this item right here. It's called Restorative Locket. What it does is anytime an enemy uses an ability within a certain distance of you, you gain a charge. And you can consume those charges to heal yourself or heal an ally and give him a stamina point. But the thing that makes it so effective against Mirage is he has this ability where if he shoots someone, it puts a stack on him. And as he shoots him again, it stacks up and stacks up. He can let this wear off, or he can press his third ability to activate it and detonate. If he presses the manual activate, you'll get a stack, which a lot of them do end up doing that. And another thing is with the fire scarabs. So first when you activate it, it gives you one. And you throw another one, throw another one, throw another one. Every single scarab that he throws, since he has to reactivate the ability, is giving him another charge. So just off of that, I have 5 stacks already. It's a super cheap item for a lot of healing. And another thing I want to point out is Headshot Booster and Headshot Hunter. Anything that's giving you bonuses for landing headshots, really, is really good. Because, or even just siphon bullets, it's really good because it's gonna just hold them up in the air and make it super easy. You just click on their head, and you're getting all those bonuses pretty much for free. Another item that's really good on Mirage is Diviner's Kevlar, because a lot of times when you're teleporting in, if you've ever played Mirage, you'll pull your ult out and you'll teleport in on someone. Here, let's do this. You'll teleport in on someone, let's say. And you don't know what's going on over there, because this could be the other side of the map. You land, you might be in a dangerous position. So having this huge buff and these massive shields with Diviner's Kevlar works really well. Another thing I'll point out is Echo Shard is a super good item on this character, because the tornado is as good as an ult on this guy. You can dash through, reset, and then dash through again. And double tornado on multiple, or even a single guy, is going to make a huge difference.
Your service.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to point out with Mo and Krill is he has 2 heads because he has 2 characters. There's a head up here and a head down here. And if you shoot either head, you get the headshot bonus. That's the first thing I want to point out. This item right here, Phantom Strike, is going to allow you to basically pick anybody out of a fight and just instantly appear on them and instantly ult them. Alright, a good way to counter Mo and Krill is, especially in laning, is to remember that his burrow does stuff on the ground. And when he's in his burrow, and if you're up on here or you're up on that bridge that goes across in the lane, he can't do anything to you. So if you sit high ground while he's in his burrow, he can't really do anything to you. You can just ignore him and kind of do your own thing. Also, the fact that he's such a big character model, he's super easy to get shots off, just free pot shots here and there. Things that are really good is something like Restorative Shot. You'll just outhill and you'll just sit in lane for free. Any items that you want to buy against him is Reactive Barrier, because when he ults you, you'll just gain a ton of health. Another option is really any anti-heal, because he has a lot of self-healing, but specifically Decay, because it does percent-based damage on top of the healing reduction, and since he has a lot of health, it's doing a lot of damage. It's a really good target for Decay. One last thing I'll point out is this item right here, Rescue Beam. If someone is trapped in a Mo ult, and you rescue beam them and pull them away, and you pull your team away, it's gonna bring the Mo and Krill with. So you guys, they're clear over there, you can bring him with and put him clear out of position, and your whole team can just collapse on him and kill him. Okay, one thing I want to talk about with Paradox is a few things. Comboing her abilities is obviously really good. A very easy one is you have grenade, wall, swap them through, and it's just tons and tons of damage. This does percent and silences, and they're CC'd that whole time going through. Another thing I wanted to point out about the carbine, the kinetic carbine, is while it's charging up, you can be doing other things. So I can hit that, I can drop this, I can swap, and the whole time it's charging and the shot's ready to go. That's not the only thing you could do. For example, if you have Ethereal Shift, you can start the charge and then go into your Ethereal Shift, cancel it, and get the shot off. Like, pretty much anything besides shooting, you can do while that's charging up. Ways to counter her, especially in lane, is when she's got her kinetic carbine going, because this is a big chunk of her damage and it's a way to set up her combos. You can hear a clock ticking, like tick, 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 tick. If you just wait it out and let it expire, it has a decently long cooldown early on, and you can punish her. She's pretty squishy, so she's gonna have to just back off. As soon as this is done, she backs off basically. Items that are good. Reactive Barrier is a really easy, good item because every single one of these abilities will trigger it, and you're just gonna get more health than the damage you're even gonna take. So it's a good item. You can Ethereal Shift yourself during her ult, because chances are, if she's swapping you, she's putting you out of position. You know, you're gonna get there and you're gonna get blown up and killed. You can just immediately Ethereal Shift to give yourself some time for your team to react or whatever else. So now that we're talking about Pocket, I wanted to point out a few things about his kit. So I see the flying cloak, you throw it out and you can recast it to instantly appear at the cloak. However, when you're in your satchel,
Not today.
you can go straight to the teleport. You don't have to cancel the satchel and then go, and what that does is it actually brings the burst of your satchel, because when the satchel ends,
Gotta hide.
it does burst damage. But that'll bring the burst to the jacket. So if you throw the jacket, you do this, it goes in, and all the damage is over here. Also, Barrage, the way it works is you get a stacking debuff, or a stacking buff I should say, up to 4 times because it does 4 shots, and it increases your overall damage. So if you have all 4 stacks, your burst is going to be absolutely insane, and you're just going to kill people. So if you can start the fight with this to set up jumping in there, blowing up, and then getting out, that's really good. And it's okay to use your ult, like jump in there, use your ult, throw it on everybody, and get out and kind of reset, and then go in again. That's a perfectly okay way to use it. Barrage also keeps momentum. So, and what I mean by that is, an item like Majestic Leap will jump you forward. You could jump,
Spirits free.
and the whole time you're going, you're keep momentum. So it's really good. This is a really cool one Pocket. I like to get it every time. Not only does it help you get in and get out without using your actual abilities, it's just fun to use. So with that being said, ways to counter Pocket is to play around his barrage. If he misses his barrage, his damage isn't going to be very much on you, and you can kind of punish him for it. And it has an 18-second cooldown. It's a pretty decent cooldown. That's after it's upgraded. So, especially early on in lane phase, if he throws his barrage out there and he doesn't get a lot of stacks, you can take a good trade with him. However, if he does land it, just know that his damage is going to be absolutely insane, and kind of just avoid the fight until it wears off. An item that is good against him is Debuff Remover, because the ult lasts so long. The debuff is 18 seconds. So if he jumps in on everyone,
Inevitable comes for us all.
and you can just instantly take it off with Debuff Remover, it's going to be a big thing. The debuff... Oh, and one thing I'll point out with this is it's non-lethal damage. However, currently, it will kill a Shiv because he has a delayed damage mechanic. I don't know if that'll get patched. It probably will, but right now you can kill Shiv with the ult. The last thing I'm going to point out is he actually starts out with negative spirit armor. If you look over here, he has minus 15 spirit armor and he has no debuffs. That's how he is by default. So even when he buys an item like spirit armor, he's only at 5% because he naturally has minus 15. So anything that you're doing that is spirit damage is going to hit Pocket extra hard. Okay, talking about Seven, one of his strengths actually comes from his ability to just farm insanely fast. When you're running through the jungle, a camp like this, you can literally just drop your ball and leave. This won't kill the big one, but it'll kill the medium one and the small one, which most of the camps on the map are medium and small. So if you come up on a camp like that, you can just throw this in there and pretty much move on. Also, even when you are killing these, his power surge ability makes his shots arc lightning to other creatures and other heroes. Also, especially in laning phase, this is more effective. If someone's hiding behind like a thing like that, if you throw the ball directly at it, and they're right here, they're going to take a little bit of damage, but they'll be able to back up. However, if you throw it to the side, the ball will actually pass right through as long as the center piece, that little orb, doesn't collide, it'll go through. And one thing to point out about his ult is a long channel. It does this massive AoE storm. But let's say I'm one of these guys and there's a 7 up here ulting. If you line of sight it, you won't take any damage. And this guy's the perfect example. See, he's not taking any damage. But if someone's up here, you can actually kind of peek around the corner and your character will lean. And you won't take any damage while you're still shooting the 7. Okay, one thing I'll point out with Shiv, his kit is pretty full. After you hit 3,000 souls and you acquire your ult, you have something called this rage bar. This will affect every single ability. And the way that the rage bar fills up is as you shoot or do damage in any way, whether it's abilities or your gun, your rage bar will go up. And then it will slowly, after time, slowly go back down. Items like decay also affect it. Any source of damage affect it. So throwing out a decay is actually pretty insane because it's really easy to land because it's just point and click. It's a fairly short cooldown, especially in lane when you're just harassing. If you just get a dagger out there and you get a decay out there, your rage bar is going to start going up really fast. And since it's damage over time, it's going to extend the time that you have to deal damage again without losing it. Another item that's actually really effective for Shiv, even though you already have decay, which is anti-healing, I like to also get Healbane. The reason why is because part of Healbane says 350 heal on hero kill. So if you kill a hero, you get a huge chunk of life back. And that counts with the ult. So if there's a big fight going on, you're half health, as soon as you land the execute, you get a huge heal. And if you're landing execute, you're just going to tank through everything. And he's already pretty tanky because of his bloodletting ability. With the deferred damage, you're constantly replenishing the damage as healing. It just makes you way tanky. Plus, the anti-heal is nice. It's applied with your dagger, it's applied with this, it's applied with this, and the dagger, each tick will reapply the anti-heal, as you can see. That purple debuff is the anti-heal. Every single tick is doing that. So if you land a dagger, they're going to have anti-heal on them for a very long time. Okay, ways to counter Shiv. A really easy and obvious one is to just get Ethereal Shift. If he's jumping on you for the execute, you know, you're in execute range, and he jumps on you, as soon as he's in the air, if you hurry up an Ethereal Shift, he'll slice you and nothing will happen. His ability will still be on cooldown and you will not be dead. So with Vindicta, you kind of just want to sit in the back line. You have a sniper, super long range, sit in the back line and just get some damage off, let your team be up front. One thing I'll point out, a lot of people don't realize, is if you kill someone with your ult, you get bonus souls. Well, so when it's upgraded all the way, you get 850 bonus souls. So even if you're about to kill someone and you don't need the ult, like let's say he's down here, you don't need the ult, there's no reason to not just herp and play and kill him, because you're going to get tons of bonus gold. Even if you're going to KS your team, it's worth ulting for the KS because that 850 gold bonus is going to add up very, very quickly and you're going to snowball very fast. She's actually really easy to counter. She's super squishy. She doesn't have a lot to do if you get right on top of her. She's going to be flying around a lot and it's kind of hard to hit her, especially if you have a shotgun or something. However, there are some items that can counter her. First off, Phantom Strike. If you're someone like Mo and Krill or something, you can just Phantom Strike straight on her, ult her, she's gonna die. Or Knockdown. She's floating around up in the sky.
know what that
You
does.
drop an
All I
anvil on
can
her
say is
head,
all the
she's gonna
misfits are
knock
gone.
straight to the ground, and you can just rush on top of her and kill her. So her weakness is basically if you're on top of her, you can win her. One thing I was going to point out with Vindicta is a lot of times, especially if you're communicating from different lane to the other lane, the people in blue or the people in green can say, hey, my laner's really low, and they're at their side shop. Because if you just jump up here with your ult, you can actually see that is the shop in blue lane. So if you see them right here, you know, they're probably not even going to be paying attention because they're going to have their menu open looking at the store, and you can just get a shot on them and kill them. And both sides could do this. So this is from green to blue. And also, if you go back here, they'll be able to shoot people at this shop from over there. So that's kind of a sneaky angle. You know, they back up, they get right here. They're not even looking over there. They're worried about these guys over here and over here. They get shot in the side of the head. You get a free kill. Okay, some pretty cool things you can do with Viscous is when his ball ability, his ult, is upgraded all the way. It says can cast abilities and use items while rolling. So normally when you roll, you bump into walls and it lets you change directions. You can't really like just turn straight around like that. It has to hit something to redirect. However, some items like Warp Stone or Magic Carpet, which have actives, allow you to redirect. So I'm going this way, I want to go this way, I could just blink that direction and suddenly I'm rolling that way, which is really effective because you can run into someone, bounce off the wall, I missed, but then you can just go right back into them whenever you want. And you can also blink upwards to stun a Bebop in the air or whatever. You can pull out the Magic Carpet while you're in the ball, and you have full control to go any direction you want. As soon as you crash into someone, it does disable the Magic Carpet, but it's pretty cool. You can escape super good, you can just run in there super good. It's really fun to do. More items that I think are really awesome for this character: Echo Shard and Refresher. Torment Pulse is super good on this guy too. Honestly, this is a pretty much must too. When you're in your cube or your ball, it's just constantly pulsing out damage to people around you. But anyway, so this lasts 5.28 seconds. You do it to yourself. You're invulnerable. You can't take damage. Anything like that. Immediately, you go into an ethereal shift. You're immune for another 4.4 seconds. You can Echo Shard to refresh the cube and go in again, and then you can even Refresher to reset the cube and Echo Shard and Ethereal Shift again, which will give you another 5.2 plus 4 plus 5.2. By the time you do all these things, you're going to have another Echo Shard again. You can do it with the cube again, and the cooldown's only 18 seconds at this point. So and it could even get lower depending on if you have more items that have cooldown reduction, like Soul Rebirth or Spiritual Overflow, and maybe I'll just grab those just to kind of look at it. So 13 seconds, you can pretty much live indefinitely inside of a cube that you can't even be hurt. And let's check it out. So this is with cooldowns. So already really long. Refresh. Go into the cube again. Instantly Ethereal Shift. You can Echo again if you didn't want to wait the 2 seconds, if you wanted to go right into it, but you could have pretty much didn't need that. You almost don't even need the Refresher. But you can see for such a long time you're invulnerable. You're just not going to die. You can live. If you want to live, you get to live. And the entire time around you, everyone's taking damage because you have Torment Pulse. Very good combo. The hero's really fun. He's a super strong right now. It may end up getting nerfed, but right now that's how it is. Okay, probably the easiest way to counter him is the fact that all of his abilities, like this Puddle Punch and the Splatter, They have really distinct noises
This may hurt.
in lane. You can hear the kind of whoosh, and then it does the punch.
Ooh, it's harder than you'd think.
So if you
doesn't it?
dodge these abilities, especially in lane before he has all the stuff when it's early game, if these are on cooldown, he can't really do anything. His gun's not amazing. It's not terrible, but it's not amazing. And if you're like right around here, he can just shoot like that, and that splash will actually hit you. So you just got to be aware of things like that also. Besides that, you try to shut him down before he gets into his cube or things like that, and you can silence him when he's getting low with silencing glyph right here, or you can try to do a curse before. If you curse him and he's already in the ball, it's not going to do anything because he's still a ball. He's cursed, but he's still a ball, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, he's almost one of those guys that the way you counter him is by just ignoring him and killing everyone else on his team, because if you're trying to kill him in the middle of a team fight, you're not going to have a good time. So with Warden, he's a pretty simple hero. There's not a ton to say about him. Really the biggest thing is your binding word. This crane ability. It puts a crane on a guy's head, and if they don't get out this parameter, it grabs them. But it's really, really easy for players to get out, and I'm going to talk about that in the counters too. But in order to help it be more consistent, one thing you can do is get an item called Knockdown right here, or an item called Slowing Hex. And really all you would do is you would throw the slow at them, immediately throw the crane on them, and it makes it so much harder for them to get out. Especially if you see the person tumble, like they're already fighting and you see him waste the stamina, and you know that they could potentially be low on stamina, you could throw this at them real quick to reduce their stamina even further, because it takes off one of their stamina, and then really fast slow hex and put a crane on them, because otherwise they're just going to immediately just tumble away. So play around their stamina to land your binding word, or you could just throw your anvil on top of their head and then immediately press this, and the chance of them getting out with that stun is very, very low, and they'll most likely be stunned right into another stun, which is a really good combo. Okay, and to counter Warden, just like how I mentioned, he's going to be trying to play around your stamina. Of the enemy needs to do to counter it is get extra stamina. It's 500 souls. They could upgrade it to superior, but even just with extra stamina, having that extra tumble is going to help them escape the crane, which is a big part of his kit. If he puts that on you and you just immediately jump away, it's not going to do anything. It'll just disappear. That's probably the easiest counter, is to just back up. Another thing is his ult. When he starts casting his ult, he's stunned himself, holding his hand up in the air until, you know, this bar fills up. And a lot of times, he's going to try to be around a corner to, like, if you're chasing him down, he's going to run around a corner and press it. And you hear that, as soon as this goes out, he's getting tons and tons of lifesteal. He's 100% lifesteal against heroes. So the chance of you killing him is not very likely. And when he does that, just back off. Let him waste the ability, let him waste the cooldown, back off, it's fine. And then as soon as it's over, just kill him. However, if he's casting this and you can stun him, or even kill him during the cast, then he's just going to be dead. Doesn't matter. Keep that in mind. If your character is someone like McGinnis, where you can stun him with the wall, you can just hold off on the wall until you see him stick his hand up like this, and then immediately stick the wall on him and interrupt it. And then he just doesn't even have his ult. Okay, so with Wraith, probably one of the first and obvious things that I would say is really good for laning is grabbing a extra charge for your cards. It allows you to get so much more burst, especially when you get your cards all stacked up. You can just show up and just throw a bunch of cards at one person and kill them. Really good for ganks. Another thing is your ult. Probably the biggest counter for Wraith is if someone just simply buys the Ethereal Shift. If the ult is on its way, this little rock, if they hurry up and hit Ethereal Shift right before it hits them, it'll hit them and do nothing. So it completely turns off the ult. Another option isn't as good, but it does work, is getting Metal Skin or Return Fire. Metal Skin is probably better than Return Fire, but either way, Ethereal Shift's better than both of them. It just completely turns it off. There's no way you're going to die. Now we're going to be talking about Yamato. A lot of people like to say that Yamato's like really hard to play and she's so confusing, but she's really not that confusing. She has her Chinese stars that she throws in a straight line. She can also throw her grenade, which even just hitting the ground right next to them does AoE damage. So you hit the ground, this little circle is going to do AoE. So if someone's sitting behind like a little thing in lane, you can just toss your grenades right behind them, and you can't see them, but they will be taking the splash damage from your grenades. Really, really effective in lane, super annoying to deal with. One thing that she does so well on is her burst is absolutely insane. So I'm gonna spawn some enemies over here, and just the slash will probably one-shot these guys. Yeah, did over 1,000 on that. So 1,200 on that slash. If you charge it up, the more you charge it up, it does more damage. When it hits full charge, then you get this bonus plus 200 full charge damage if it's fully upgraded. If you didn't quite charge it up all the way, you're not going to get that bonus. It'll still do a lot, but it's not going to hit as hard. When you pop your ult, it refreshes all your cooldowns. So I'll just use everything. You can see, when you pop your ult, instantly refreshes everything. You can immediately do it all over again. And then you can refresh, do it all over again, and then ult again to refresh the abilities again. Basically what I'm saying is this: you can just chase forever, you can do so much damage, you're so much burst, you're going to be one-shotting Vindictas, one-shotting Grey Talons, super fun hero. Crimson Slash will heal you 10% if you hit a hero. I'm going to put myself at half health, and just one slice. One slice, I'm full basically. It does a ton of healing and it scales with all your other spirit lifesteal. One little burst, I'll put myself back at half health. One little burst, I'm pretty much full. Another thing, when you press the shadow transformation, during this animation, you're invulnerable. You cannot be stunned. It takes off all your debuffs. It resets all your cooldowns. So if you get affliction from pocket or whatever else, you can just ult to take it off. Now talking about counters for Yamato. Early laning, she's actually kind of weak. If she misses her Q, that's the huge bulk of her damage. It's really easy to punish her. It's really easy to do trades early on. You kind of want to just get ahead and stay ahead. Another thing to keep in mind is a lot of people are going to try to use Shadow Transformation when she's getting low because it makes so she's unkillable. So if you have items like Curse and Silencing Glyph, and you can kind of anticipate when you think she's going to try to ult, you could pre-silence and stop her from using her ult, and she might panic and you can just get a free kill. Okay, we went over tips and tricks for every single hero, just a couple on each one. Some were a little more secretive than the other, and some were kind of obvious. If you have any that you know of that I didn't talk about, post them in the comments. Let me know. Maybe I'll showcase it in a video. I'm going to keep this updated as patches come out and items and abilities change, or when new heroes come out, then I'll make a tips video for each new hero. Okay, thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing if you learned something new, and if not, well, you made it this far.